R-Type Final 2 is a horizontal scrolling shooter video game developed and published by Granzella. It is a sequel to R-Type Final, which released back in 2004 and is the first R-Type game in over a decade. The game is out now on Microsoft Windows, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4 and Xbox consoles. Way back in the 1980s, bullet hell games were absolutely everywhere, from arcades to home consoles. But in 1987, R-Type appeared on the bullet hell scene and immediately blew everything else away. Since then, the franchise has got bigger, but not necessarily better, and became more bloated, and it moved away from its roots of its original titles. Fast forward to 2019 and a Kickstarter campaign was launched in order to produce the latest and hopefully greatest R-Type game ever. So is R-Type Final 2 a waste of Kickstarter's money, and does it live up to the difficulty of the original games, or is it a more bullet hell friendly R-Type? Let's find out. Story wise, nothing much has changed. You play as a lone star fighter going up against the evil Bido alien hordes in a quest to save humanity. The first change I did notice from the original was the ability to change the difficulty, but this thankfully is a very good thing. Playing on normal, I ended up dying way too many times before even reaching the 4th level. After some thought, I lowered the difficulty to easy for the sake of my review and got better and managed to complete the game a few times before eventually returning to the normal difficulty setting. The graphics are very sharp and colourful, although I must say very ugly and bland in some stages, especially stage 3. Playing on my Xbox Series X, the load times are almost non-existent, while the game itself is silky smooth and fast paced, never slowing down even when the screen is bursting with enemies. Each level has its own look, from outer space robotic enemies all the way to deep sea like enemies. Sound wise, the game works very well. The sound of the wave cannon charging up is still as awesome to hear today as it always was, and all the other countless weapon variations also look and sound amazing. As for the actual gameplay and the way it plays, it does a decent job for the most part. Shooting down enemies, blowing them up with missiles, using the DOS smart bomb to clear an entire screen of enemies, it's all very much your standard shoot 'em up affair. It's not just about shooting though. Picking up power-ups brings a turret into play, which R-Type fans will know as the Force. Something which is a great addition to your arsenal and sets it apart from other space shooters, especially as this can be left flying around on its own or attached to the front or rear of your ship. If you attach it to the back of the ship, you can then fire backwards, which will give you a big advantage in some of the boss fights, as well as certain stages. If used properly, it can make your starfighter super powerful and much harder to kill. When attached to the front of your ship, it will amplify your firepower. And lastly, my favorite way to use the Force is having it free float, where it will go to the front of the screen if you hang back, and vice versa if you fly forwards. Unfortunately, here is where there lies a big problem with the game. The Force, you see, can sometimes get stuck in scenery, which immediately cuts your firepower and leaves you at a disadvantage. Stage 3 in particular, as the boss is a giant multi-stage battleship, and for most of the fight I didn't see my turret as it was inside an enemy or stuck in some geometry. This can be unbelievably annoying, and even when recalling the Force to your ship, it doesn't always come back when you want it. And I felt a high number of times that I died was down to this issue, and it becomes even more of an issue when playing on the harder difficulties, which was a huge shame. But there is more to the game than just shooting Bido. Alongside score attack and remix levels is a whole art museum to check out, where you can unlock an insane amount of ships by either entering Kickstarter codes or buying them with the resources you get from completing missions. These resources come in green, red and blue, and can also be bought with in-game money from the store, as well as some cool helmets and spacesuits for your pilot. Finding a ship with a loadout that suited me was loads of fun, and there are so many ships to collect, most of which look very unique and all have different fun weaponry to try out. There's also a very cool stats section to check out, which shows you your performance history, as well as a very cool ship editor where you can add stickers and edit the color of your ships to your heart's content. And finally, the cool Bido lab, where as you kill enemies, their details are unlocked in the lab, which let you check out various stats and information on your enemies. R-Type Final 2 is not a very long game, with a total of around 7 main stages, which can all be completed inside an hour, especially on the easier difficulties. But there are actually different routes you can take from around stage 5 onwards, and then there is the brilliant DLC classic stages, of which there are 2 at the moment, but with more coming in the near future. So to sum up, R-Type Final 2 is a very good shooting game in its own right, and having the history and background of the R-Type legacy makes it even better. There's quite a lot to do here besides just shooting stuff, and the ability to unlock new ships to better suit your playstyle is a big plus. However, problems with the Force, getting stuck one time too many, and some really bland looking levels, as well as not having enough stages, for me it sadly loses out on a few points. So I am going to give R-Type Final 2 a very decent 7 out of 10. So thank you all for watching my review. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, guys. Hit that like button now if you enjoyed the review, and also hit the bell button so you never miss one of my latest videos. All the best, guys. You take care out there, and I will see you all on the next Joe Cobra video. Ciao for now.
People pinned their last hope on a small trans-dimensional fighter